Hey everyone, it's Drayton from Scale Trains, and I'm really excited to bring you our latest all-new diesel locomotive announcement for the 2024 National Train Show in Long Beach, California. It might involve a certain thoroughbred, so stay tuned. So you might remember a few years ago when we made our General Electric Dash 9 locomotive announcement, and it was such a big deal for our company because so many customers for years had requested a rivet counter level Dash 9, and we were able to deliver that project after years of development. And today's locomotive announcement has a similar story. It's been requested numerous times, really since the very beginning of our company, and we're so excited to finally be at the finish line to make the announcement today. We're announcing the all-new Rivet Counter Series GE AC44C6M. Now this locomotive has its origins going all the way back to the early 90s when General Electric announced the Dash 9 series. It featured numerous electronic upgrades and performed even better than its predecessor, the Dash 8 series. The Dash 8 series, though, introduced a new style of locomotive cab. It was known as GE's safety cab, and instead of following traditional locomotive design, the nose encompassed the entire front of the locomotive, with a cab door being right in front on the side of the nose. There were headlight options. You could have the headlight mounted high, and General Electric wanted to continue this trend. They heard positive remarks from the railroads and from train crews who said the cabs were much more spacious and allowed them to do their paperwork better and just have a much more comfortable ride. Well, Norfolk Southern was always kind of an outlier. They were known for their running long hood forward from really back to the Southern Railway in Norfolk and Western days. They were really the only railroad that continued that tradition. Even when they ordered the C39-8s in the mid-80s, they were set up to run long hood forward. Well, the GE Dash 9s were among Norfolk Southern's first locomotives to run short hood forward. They had some Dash 8s, standard cab Dash 8s that were set up in that manner, but these were among the first large purchases by Norfolk Southern to run short hood forward. But Norfolk Southern, being unique as they are, decided to go with the Spartan cab design, where they have doors on both sides of the cab, at the rear for the engineer and at the front for the conductor and or brakeman. And the first order of GE Dash 9s that they had featured this Spartan cab. It was similar to the Dash 8 series that other railroads like CSX rostered, and similar to the C39-8s as well. But what made this series of locomotives unique was its rooftop air conditioning units. They quickly became beloved by rail fans who nicknamed them Top Hats. It looked much like Sir Topham Hatt from Thomas the Tank Engine, and these black locomotives roamed the rails all over Norfolk Southern's vast network, which at the time was around 16,000 miles. Over the years, these locomotives received upgrades and were repaired at Norfolk Southern's various locomotive shops. They were repainted, a lot of them receiving the horsehead scheme, which was introduced in 2002. And really up until the 2010s, many rail fans thought that these locomotives would remain this way until they were retired. But enter PSR around 2014, and Norfolk Southern, as well as many of the other railroads, were looking to cut costs. They needed to upgrade their locomotive fleets, and they didn't want to spend more money than what they had to on new GE locomotives. So instead, they opted to enter an experimental rebuild program, the AC44C6M, taking the first 125 Dash 9s and rebuilding them with GE safety cabs, as well as numerous electronic upgrades, positive train control, floor air conditioning, which was a serious upgrade from the predecessor model, and just adding like electronic pneumatic brakes, which definitely improved. And of course, you've got to have your DPU capability. So the experimental program kicked off in the fall of 2015, and Norfolk Southern unveiled number 4000. And this locomotive wore a unique paint scheme. It was a blue cab and a horse mane style design with a yellow outline, and rail fans affectionately nicknamed this locomotive the Sonic Bonnet after a popular cartoon and video game character. And these locomotives were done so by a contractor, but Norfolk Southern eventually went on to do the rebuilding themselves at Juniata and Roanoke. And the first 6 units received special paint schemes. The first 2 wore the blue mane or the blue bonnet design, and the rest featured a black mane with either a red or blue outline. Red as a representative of Roanoke, the Tuscan red as a nod to the Norfolk and Western, and Juniata had the blue mane design. Now, what was really a big deal about these locomotive rebuilds is that they were going from DC traction to AC traction. In addition to being a holdout on the wide cab design, Norfolk Southern was really the last holdout on DC traction, and they really didn't order AC locomotives aggressively until the mid-2000s. So the AC conversion program was a really big deal in the history of Norfolk Southern. We're really excited to announce the Rivet counter model. It's got railroad road number and era-specific details. We're offering several different paint scheme variations. Of course, we're offering the Sonic Bonnet, and we're also offering 2 of the black mane versions. One with a blue stripe, one with a red stripe, for you guys who have a loyalty to those regional shops, and we're really excited about that. The road numbers that we're offering in this run, because the C6M rebuild program is so unique in terms of parts that they've reused or refurbished or replaced, these models represent the C40-9 top hats. Now, since the first 125 road numbers of the C40-9s have been rebuilt, Norfolk Southern has gone on to rebuild many of their wide cab -9s, converting them from DC to AC traction. And they've used Wabtec in Fort Worth to do a lot of the work, and they've continued doing their own rebuilds. By 2025, it's estimated that over 900 of these locomotives will be roaming Norfolk Southern's system. And it's really impressive because Norfolk Southern in 10 years has rebuilt so many of their -9 locomotives, and they've even added rebuilt locomotives that they've purchased from other railroads and worked with Wabtec to bring them to the roster. So by the time the rebuild program is complete, Norfolk Southern will have more AC44C6Ms likely than they ever had -9s, which is really incredible to show their transition from DC to AC traction. So we don't have production or pre-production, I should say, samples yet from our factory, but we do have these gorgeous 3D renders that have been provided by Jointed Rail. We'll show you some of these renders here on the screen. We have gone to the utmost lengths to replicate these paint schemes as accurately as possible. And one of my favorite road numbers that we're offering in this run is the 4047, which features a primer replacement cab. This locomotive did not look this way for all that long. I believe it was about a 2-year period where it had this kind of mismatched looking paint scheme. But as a modeler, this is one that you're going to want to add to your roster just because it stands out and it looks totally different from your standard Norfolk Southern locomotive. We're also offering the standard horsehead paint scheme and my personal favorite, the horsehead DC to AC sine wave paint scheme, which has the unique sine wave logo under the road number on the cab sides. Of course, with Norfolk Southern, you're going to have flashing front and rear ditch lights. You're going to have your PTC array on the top, your LSL lights on the side of the cab. Those are non-functioning on the model. You've got LED truck lights and LED walkway lights, of course, which are in line with our latest Rivet counter -9s. So not only will they complement the -9s, they'll really stand out. And you know, if you model Norfolk Southern from 2015 to today, you have to have at least one of these C6Ms. As a matter of fact, I might get one. I modeled Norfolk Southern from about 2009 to 2015, and the first 2 road numbers fit in just barely at the last few months of 2015. So I'll probably end up getting a sonic bonnet myself. So with that, thank you for tuning in to our latest all-new Rivet counter diesel locomotive announcement, and we're really excited to see the future of this series. It's possible that we might be able to offer the Dash 9 wide cab rebuilds in the future, but right now, because of how unique these models are, what most modelers don't realize is that even though all Dash 9s might look the same, once you get under the surface, there are so many detail variations, from fans to vents, battery boxes, grills, doors, you name it, even grab irons. You wouldn't think that that would be that big of a deal when it comes to tooling, but it is. And so we're offering these first C40-9 rebuilds now, and in the future, with the success of this announcement, we hope we'll be able to offer more C6Ms in the future. So you can pre-order these locomotives now from scaletrains.com. You can click the link in the video description, or you can find a select retailer. You can use our store locator feature at scaletrains.com to find a retailer in your area. Well, with that concludes our all-new diesel locomotive announcement video. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you hit that button. Ring the bell for notifications when we make more videos just like this. Hope everyone enjoys the National Train Show in Long Beach, and we're excited to have the 2026 National Train Show here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We can't wait to see you all there. Thanks everyone. Have a great week.